Thank you. So, while issues around the state and continuation of Yiddish scholarship have been around for almost a century, 21st century Yiddish scholarship has identified a few major questions that the field is facing. As Laser Burgo has stated in his 2014 AJS keynote address, our foundations, particularly because of post-Holocaust work, are weighted towards archives and retrospection. This is by no means negative, but it does create an expectation for those coming into the field. With respect to engagement, Mikhail Krutov has identified that the newest generations of non-Haredi Yiddish speakers often do not have other Yiddish speakers in their immediate family, and they do not have lived experience in self-propagating naturalistic Yiddish. The spaces available for engagement are institutionalized, privatized, and time-bound, which can make it difficult to feel genuinely part of the modern Yiddish world. Innovation in the field often comes from situating oneself in another discipline, niche, or trend, then secondarily applying Yiddish to it. This also happens in cultural efforts such as music. While Yiddish does not share the colonial history or ties to specific lands as indigenous peoples, we do share an experience of targeted, widespread devastation to our language and culture. Because of this, I feel it's beneficial, if not necessary, to read indigenous scholarship on the subject. Many, including Eve Tuck and Kay Wayne Young in their article, Our Words, Refusing Research, have identified problems with the automatic application of research in the study of other cultures or in order to compel change. This is because it promotes division between the researcher and the researched, and this division already problematizes the experience of new Yiddish learners trying to innovate in the field. While research is not the only form of knowledge, or when research is not the best form of knowledge to apply in a given situation, it can become performative, which is not fulfilling for the researcher or the research subject. Particularly in Western academia, we unquestioningly place research at the top of the knowledge hierarchy. As Tuck and Young state in their article, research is just one form of knowing, but in the Western academy, it eclipses all others. In this way, the relationship of research to other human ways of knowing resembles a colonizing formation, acquiring, claiming, absorbing, consuming. The authors also identify that diversifying our systems of knowledge allows us to explore the dialogical relationships between different forms of knowledge, which is essential for building critical understanding. It also creates more modes for scholars to create and share their work, which can open new opportunities for engagement. Further, artistic practice is undeniably a unique mode of learning. It allows us to record and convey forms of knowledge, such as tacit knowledge, that are not bound to conventional forms of publication or the means by which they're dispersed. It builds a more personal connection between the creator and their work, which addresses the issue of separation between researcher and researched. It is also more effective at promoting intersectionality by opening the floor for engagement to those who do not have access to it through traditional academic writing and through making new ways to convey intersectional experiences. Artistic practice is also inherently more open-ended and flexible towards interdisciplinarity, which can aid in innovation in both knowledge and the forms it takes. I've explored this a bit in my own art practice, which often involves taking my own translations of Yiddish poetry, creating visual art that echoes or enhances my translation, then presenting them in tandem. This started as a way to address both the incompleteness of poetry translation and to engage those who do not speak Yiddish and therefore cannot access the original poems. My first experiment with this was a sculpture I made for my translation of Avrom Liessen's Indifferent. The Yiddish text of the poem is painted onto the arms of the sculpture, and separately, my translation of the poem was presented. Another work involved Mein Umruf von der Wolf by Mosse Halpern. The text of this poem is written on this interactive sculpture, and the translation is below. This was presented at the Bernstein Festival of the Arts at Brandeis. Here's a short video showing that. A more recent work involved an installation I made and paired with my translation of Malka Heifetz Tusman's poem, Wasser und Lotion. This video is a record of the installation, which included audio featuring the poem.
Hat von seiner Zeit Arab gerissen, gesagt, gleich dort, sei mir das Simmen, als ich bin Kreuz, mächtig bin ich, sei mir der hat von seiner Zeit gerissen, Arab gesagt, gerissen, und gesagt, dort, es gibt ein Seins, was ich bin, sei mir das Kreuz, der bin ich, sei mir das Himmel, zeigt,
While this did succeed in bringing Yiddish poetry to audiences that wouldn't access it otherwise, I found the problem of individualism in this kind of artwork was still present. It doesn't address the need for self-propagating Yiddish culture and is fully end-spaced. Each project is limited to a certain amount of time. It is also locked into the institutionalized, privatized, and time-bound spaces that do not allow for the kind of self-developing, naturalistic Yiddish culture that I feel that new learners need. Bourriaud defines the term relational aesthetics as an art taking as its theoretical horizon the realm of human interactions and its social context, rather than the assertion of an independent and private symbolic space. I feel that this kind of aesthetic is necessary for our current Yiddish world. We need to break down the strict binary between creator and learner, researcher and researched, in order to build naturalistic, interwoven Yiddish cultures and spaces for learning. In order to do this, I think we need to fundamentally reimagine the role of our learning spaces. Relational approaches that position interaction and social context as the material and product of learning, promotes learning and work that moves beyond individual knowledge and inquiry, and in doing so, promotes collective engagement and innovation. In 2010, Anton Vidocli re-envisioned the Manifesto 6 Biennial as an ongoing classroom rather than an exhibition space. I think we should similarly be blending the divisions between the two. Holding classrooms as continuous, ongoing spaces for exhibition and creation holds the space for the kind of learning, for the kind of Yiddish cultural development that the newest generations of Yiddish learners need to continue to produce innovative Yiddish works. It allows for learners to create materials for the next class, the next generation, and the surrounding community. This process builds drive that fuels itself. As such, this positions Yiddish pedagogy as public practice. To reiterate, I feel that a publicly engaged and ongoing kind of education space for Yiddish addresses the unique need of current Yiddish scholarship, which is, instead of being weighted toward archival and retrospective work, allows new learners to take that work and innovate on it to produce Yiddish work that stands within itself. It also produces this self-propagating growth of language and culture by reflecting on the core aspects of Yiddish language and culture, which are being nationless and belonging to no one space or institution, and being publicly concerned, engaged, and communal. Thank you.